The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. These guys can't go about like 3 seconds without saying a swear, so, listener discretion is advised.
I mean, there's like 6 to 7 months between each of them, so
That's
I can't remember what I did last week. I was here doing this.
Yeah, I was about to say, you were at least recording a podcast at some point last week.
That's the only constant in my life.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD. I am joined by Matt.
Woo! How's it going?
And it's all right. And Aiden is also here.
Hey, it's glad to be back.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back. I mean,
We're glad to have you.
Yeah. Kyle is off on a expedition, let's just say that, to find the lost city of gold or something. I don't know what Kyle's doing. But he's unfortunately not with us again, but hopefully we'll see his shining face again soon. This week we are talking about the latest Adventure Time Distant Lands special titled Together Again. This one is focusing on Finn and Jake, our original protagonist duo. And it gets real dark real quick. Not gonna lie. This one
Dark, gets very emotional.
This one's a bit of a downer, but
only Adventure Time episode I've ever seen where I actually real honest to God waterworks. I was crying like a baby by the end of this.
I'm an emotionalist monster, so I did not, but I understand where you're coming from fully.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I remember of the original show, they definitely were able to kind of tug on that same sort of emotional notes that they kind of do here.
Just to see Adventure Time go from the very lull random humor it had at the beginning to getting real existential as it went along, it was a very strange metamorphosis to say the least.
Me and my friends have been rewatching Adventure Time from season 1 onward, and it is wild how simple Adventure Time started off as just a fun little series with Finn and Jake going on these wacky adventures in this weird world. And then knowing where that eventually leads to, it's crazy the kind of tonal shift that the show eventually takes. And I think the best part is in this episode of Distant Lands, you actually feel that because it really has that sudden tonal shift that the show gradually built up to. So in the beginning.
So I didn't know really anything about what this was going to be going in. All I knew it was going to center around Finn and Jake. So when this special starts, and it is basically a classic episode of Adventure Time where it is just Finn and Jake rescuing princesses from the Ice King. It is just all simple.
They got their 50 flavor ice cream that they stole from ice cream monsters in the Ice Cream Kingdom.
Right.
The Ice King is Ice King. Finn still has his arm.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Finn didn't have a robot arm. So we were real old school.
And then Jake just crawls into a grave
and melts into water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just weird that it's this very classic Adventure Time thing, and then you just subtly notice that things are off until Jake's nope, I gotta go, I gotta get out of here, and then just crawls into a grave and dies.
There was something else too. I was trying to remember, and I don't believe they did, but the other two Distant Land specials, BMO and Obsidian, they didn't have the original Adventure Time intro, right? They have it in this one.
BMO's having the original Adventure Time opening.
Yeah, so I think they just have it in here, which
right. Sorry. I think it is literally just here because we're doing kind of a throwback.
Yeah, that's how I figured. But it made me think for a second. I'm like, did they? Because they have a distinct Distant Lands opening they've been using, and they play that, and then they play the original intro. And I was just trying to remember. I was like, has that always been there? Because I've only watched the other specials when they aired. So,
and it's just funny that literally it's the exact old Adventure Time logo. They just slap a little Distant Lands banner on it at the end.
That was what made me think, like, wait, was that always there? It was so seamless.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of find out that. Well, I guess before I get into the plot, I guess we just kind of give our general opinions on this. So Aiden, since you're the guest here, why don't you kind of tell us what you thought about this?
Man, holy shit! I've never gotten this emotional to where I don't know if I said this in the recording or not. I've never gotten this emotional towards Adventure Time ever. Yeah. I was really, really, really into the show around season 2 to season 4. It was like one of my favorite shows. I loved it. I dressed up as Finn a lot because back in the day, Finn looked a lot like how I did when I was a teenager. So I resonated a lot with that. And I resonated a lot with Finn just in general. So
I dressed up like Finn back. Like I dressed up as Finn at a 2009 Comic-Con, like I think the year before Adventure Time even aired.
Yeah,
back when it was just the special.
I actually I used to have the I think I still have it. I still had the Finn hat that you could buy, and I'd wear that like just on regular around my high school. Like I freaking loved Adventure Time. I really loved Finn as a character. So seeing the sudden shift from like wacky Adventure Time fun times to old man Finn with the robot arm and realizing that he's dead, that immediately hit me.
It gets morbid real quick.
This gets super morbid super quickly. And yeah, this whole special is basically just a big giant conclusion to Finn and Jake as characters, and it's such a great conclusion to them. Like just man, it's a great I don't know how to really put it in words, which is probably not good for a podcast, but oh well.
No, I get you. It's a very bittersweet episode, I guess. But I feel like this is a good conclusion to Adventure Time. Like I think this is like a perfect way to wrap up Finn and Jake's characters. It is very strange that they are tacking on a fourth one after this.
Right, because I think everyone assumed that this one was going to be the fourth and last one, but we still have that other one with it was Peppermint Butler, right?
It's my friend told me that the fourth one is going to be Abracadaniels.
Is it?
Apparently, he's the only one that he's the only one that doesn't have an episode tied to him.
Well, Peppermint Butler does show up in this one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Peppermint Butler shows up in this one, so it's gonna be Abracadaniels, a character I only maybe vaguely remember. So
yeah, I had that same thought too, because there were characters in here that I know that I'd seen the episodes for, and I kind of vaguely remembered. And then there's characters that I thought, we mentioned this right before we recorded, that I guess showed up in the show much later than when I sort of dropped off. And so I thought they were for the special, but apparently
like Death's wife, Life, the two-headed snake. I totally did not know that was a pre-existing character. I totally thought that was just something that was introduced in this, but no, was a pre-established character. And I think
you go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
According to my friend who watched all of Adventure Time, according to her, every character in this is a character from the main series. Which I couldn't recognize. I could recognize like a few, and a lot of them are like the obvious ones that have been around since like season 1. And other than those characters, I was kind of lost on most of these little cameos, but to diehard Adventure Time fans, it's definitely like one of those. It's just nice to see them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that was a little bit surprising to me because I know I'd seen the character before. But it was Finn and Jake's other dog brother,
Jermaine.
Jermaine, because I know I'd seen him in the show before, but he wasn't voiced by Tom Sharpling. He wasn't Greg Universe the last I knew of it. So
I think the first time they mention him, he's just voiced by John DiMaggio and he has a weird voice. But I think he showed up later in the series. And yeah, he was voiced by Greg's voice actor.
Yeah, so that was a little bit surprising. It was welcome, but still, it was just.
It's just funny that no matter what that guy does, it's like he just sounds like Greg.
Well, yeah, it's Tom Sharpling's just voice.
That's just how he sounds.
Yeah. Hey, Stuball.
Hey, Stuball. And I like that he just paints Tiffany.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I frowning? He's like, that's just what you look like all the time.
All the time. So yeah, JD, I did want to ask you because you are the only one, I guess, out of us that has seen, the finale they actually did in Adventure Time proper, the show.
Yeah.
What was it? Come along with me.
Yeah, we did a review on it.
Yeah. So you're saying that this is more of like a appropriate send off for it
Yeah, because from what I remember is that there's like this giant war that happens in the last episode, and like all the characters go to war with like Princess Bubblegum's like relatives or something. I forget the exact context of it. And then it's like Finn and Jake are like, yeah, okay, cool, the world's saved. And then it like cuts to like way in the future, and then there's like these weird animal people that are like Finn and Jake analogs, and they live in the treehouse now, but it's like way in the future. So that was just kind of a weird like way to end it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Because it doesn't really it doesn't really show you like, okay, at least I don't remember too much about what Finn and Jake's ending were in that. I remember that like they had a montage of like what some people are doing afterwards. Like I remember that was what established that Bubblegum and Marceline were like in a relationship now, and they live in Marceline's house. That's really the only one that I remember offhand.
Okay.
But yeah, like I just don't remember, at least from what I remember, like, because God, that ended years ago.
But not that many years ago. That's the thing. That was what I remember us discussing when when we talked about BMO, about Distant Lands, was like, they're doing like these like epilogue like specials not that long after they stopped like the show proper, and it felt like this was something that they should have waited a little longer to do.
Yeah, because the last episode was in 2018, and we're in 2021 now. Yeah, so they started doing these specials like 2 years after it ended. So yeah, I get it. It's kind of strange that we're doing this, but I guess it's still within like people are still like familiar with Adventure Time, so it's not like it's a retro throwback like some of the specials we've been getting the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess in another similar way, it was kind of like they did something like that with Steven Universe when they did the show, and then they did the movie, and then they did the time skip show, but that was not that long after the movie came out, and that was another instance of where like maybe they could have let that one bake for a little bit longer, and it might have had a little bit more impact, a little bit farther removed from
At least for Adventure Time, I guess it was. I feel, I don't know if this is the case, but I feel like this project was more or less greenlit because Warner Brothers owns the property of Adventure Time, and they were launching HBO Max. I'm like, okay, we need some like original content that is going to draw people in. Adventure Time is still really big. It's just wrapped up recently, but the IP is still fresh in people's minds. I imagine that they probably greenlit these just in an effort to like bring people over to HBO Max, which it's not a terrible idea, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, for sure. And they've been at least putting them out consistently enough to like, I guess, keep people subscribed to keep watching them, because like I said, they've released like one every 6 months. So
yeah, I subscribed to HBO Max for Monkey Bone.
You sure did.
I did.
And
I mentioned that in that episode we did on it.
I know you did. And I just used Matt's HBO Max account to watch things.
I My mom has an HBO Max account. I don't know why, but I use it, so that's good.
Look, all I'm saying is that we should all be sharing streaming accounts with each other. Like I use Max's HBO Max account, but Kyle uses my Netflix, and
You said to use. I thought you were going to say use Max's HBO Matt account.
did I? Did I say that? Did I get it right?
You almost did.
Ah, damn. But yeah, like Kyle uses my Netflix, my sister-in-law uses our Hulu, I use my dad's Amazon Prime account. So it's fun. It's nice to share, everybody.
Especially in this economy.
I just remember I thought I saw an article a couple months ago about how Netflix was going to start cracking down on account sharing, and I'm like, how are you going to do that? Like IP address tracking, I guess, but like that'd be kind of a dick move,
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
no, the streaming service is doing it.
right? Encourage it, man. You get more people to watch your shit. I know like you need more subscriber numbers, but whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway, Adventure Time, cool.
yeah. Yeah, so Aiden kind of talked about, how he felt about the special, but what did you think, JD? You were talking about how it was like that it was just like a better finale than the actual finale.
I think, yes, I do think this is a better finale than the original one, at least in terms of Finn and Jake's characters. Like I said, I didn't know anything about going into this, so when old Finn comes out of his weird, like, parasite-induced hallucination, and he realizes he's actually in the dead world, which again is a thing that I kind of forgot was a thing because like they've met death before. But yeah, Finn is dead and in the underworld. And I like that it pops up a little title card that says Finn and Jake, and in big letters are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great because up until that point, it was playing it up like a wacky Adventure Time episode, and then you just see the title card Finn and Jake, and it's like, huh, that's weird. And then when they cut back to it, it's like, are dead. It's like, oh.
Yeah, because they flash. I was like, wait, I thought this was called Together Again, and then it changes by the end. But
obviously we're jumping way ahead, but yeah, when it changes at the end of it, it's like it's just that extra oomph that like I think gives the specials ending a lot more oomph, but we'll go into that when we talk about the ending.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you just kind of see Finn, he basically spent his, like, I guess Jake died pretty, like a lot sooner than Finn did.
I remember, I don't remember if it was Obsidian. I remember there was clips going around of like an older Jake and an older, Browin?
That's at the end. That's the end of Obsidian, where Finn and Bronwyn show up, just like for a hot second. And
yeah,
and Finn doesn't have a shirt on, but he has a Jake tattoo on his chest.
Yeah,
his towel flies off and he's naked.
Yeah, he's naked. He's just in a towel.
And so that was another thing too that I've noticed, and I'm wondering if they're going to keep this sort of progression going. But so the first Distant Lands that came out was BMO, which was a prequel to, like, at the end of BMO, it ends on the shot of BMO finding the treehouse, and there's a young Finn and Jake there. Obsidian happens after the events of the show. It shows like an older Finn and stuff, and then there's this which happens after Obsidian. So now I'm wondering the last special that they still have to do, if it's going to be set in a post, like Finn or like now with all the stuff they've done with like the Dead Worlds and all this. I don't know. I feel like that's I don't really know what to expect, just because we were talking about how there's a bunch of stuff that because they haven't watched through the later half of the show, that there was stuff that we didn't know about in this special that was actually part of the show later on.
So I'm not really sure what this last one is going to be. Obviously, once they announce, give us more information, we'll kind of figure that out. But from my understanding is that the one that we're still waiting on, the Peppermint Butler, whatever, I think it's called Wizard City.
I think it's supposed to be based on what was his name?
Abracadaniel.
Abracadaniel. I think that's Abracadaniel's, because like Peppermint Butler is in this one.
Right, but so that whatever the last one is going to be, I think that one was kind of tacked on, because I was reading that the three that we have now were the three that were originally ordered by HBO Max, and then the Wizard City one is going to be the last one because they kind of ordered it after the fact, which is why they got switched around.
That explains a lot, because like this feels like a good bookend to.
Oh no, yeah,
Adventure Time.
This is the Adventure Time finale. Like this feels like the logical, like emotional end to this. Because yeah, like I was saying, like you kind of find out in this that Jake spent his entire life after Jake's death, like just basically waiting to die so that he can go to the Dead Worlds to meet Jake again, so that they can go be reincarnated together.
Also, Jake has achieved nirvana and has found enlightenment, which I think is very in character with Jake.
Yeah.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at The Geekly Grind.
Also, while we're talking about about this, I get to bring up that, like, man, I didn't really feel it with BMO, with the world design. Obviously, it was a completely different world and a completely different setting from the Land of Ooh.
The backgrounds in this special are like grand.
Yeah, no, the Dead Worlds that Finn goes through, like all the different levels of the Dead World, all of them have that exact feel of like that kind of Adventure Time level of detail and character put into them.
Dude, the Dead Worlds are just like some Lovecraftian bullshit.
I know. I love the one. I love the one that's just all of the souls jumping into a giant mouth.
Yeah, it's like, go on here. We just being eaten. Okay, let's go.
Cool.
There's so much fun to be had. I don't know. I really love weird and fun interpretations of the afterlife. And so this one gives me like all the different fun interpretations I would expect to see from a show like Adventure Time.
Yeah, totally.
And on top of that, like the Undertakers, which is how we get introduced to Tiffany, a character I never really personally cared for.
I hate Tiffany so much. It's such a stupid character.
Yeah, but Tiffany was only just like a little like background gag in a couple episodes, right? Unless Tiffany shows up like much later.
I think Tiffany shows up a couple times, but
from what I know, Tiffany shows up a lot more later. But like,
really,
I don't know. This was that was after I had dropped the show. So seeing Tiffany show up in this is just kind of like, okay. It makes sense. The whole episode is about Finn trying to get Jake, so it makes sense that Tiffany would be here too. And Tiffany is like one of the Undertakers, and I love the Undertaker designs in this, where they're all just dudes wearing edgy teenagers wearing hoodies, but like they've got their like hands in their hoodie pockets, and they've got giant wings that act as hands.
Yeah,
it's a very fun design.
It's a very like 2000s like high school like emo aesthetic.
I think that's kind of why I really like it. It's just that very like, it's that kind of aesthetic, but it's still Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Fox, I feel like I remember the episode that he's from, like the first episode he's from.
He shows up a couple times. Just he's not at least from what I remember, not of like very much consequence. For the most part, he's just kind of like a I'm here kind of character. But
he becomes a very important character in this special.
He sure does, and I like what he does with his. I like what he does with his power.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was a little taken aback by the introduction of New Death.
New Death.
because like as you mentioned, like Finn and Jake meet Death. Like Death is an established character in the series.
We've met
But,
Death before.
And now we have New Death, which is not what I expected, but it makes a lot more sense throughout the course of the episode.
Yeah,
who
so
New Death is.
Yeah, so we like find out that like New Death is the son of Death, but because he's like a giant snake man because he's the son of Life and Death, and Death is a skeleton man and Life is a two-headed snake woman. So he is a big beefy snake man. But he accidentally kills Death, which I guess if you kill whoever Death is at the time, you become the New Death.
It's like the Santa Claus rules.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Santa, he becomes Santa.
He Tim Allen'd him.
Become Death. Yeah.
Tim Allen'd him.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to put that.
And he's also another character that's revealed. Death, I mean. The New Death.
What was it? What are we going on?
Oh, we watched the same special, right?
What are you talking about?
New Death. I'm saying that he's a new character for the special, but he's also a character we've seen before.
Have we?
Oh, yeah, it is the Lich.
Oh
my! Oh,
right.
God, I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, boys!
I did not catch on.
Sorry, I was not okay. Sorry.
I wasn't catching on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Lich is back.
Ron Perlman's back, everybody.
I love how it seems like no matter how many years go by, no matter what the fuck happens, the Lich always finds a way to come back.
That's the Lich's whole deal.
I'm not gonna lie, the Lich felt really tacked on here.
A little bit, yeah. He basically he's turned into the purple guy. That's all I'm gonna say.
From Five Nights at Freddy's? Oh, and it's sort of over. Oh, okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I get the reason why, just because if this is like the big bookend to like the series, and like he's like the most important adversary that Finn and Jake ever had, like I get it.
Like it makes sense. It's fitting that like this should be their final confrontation, and I like how this one it pretty much feels like no, the Lich is gone. Like whatever's left of him after the end of this is just floating out into the nothingness void of nowhere, really. This is the afterlife.
If nothing else, that little abridged sort of like rotating graphic of like every time they fought, it was like a really cool scene.
Yeah, having that flashback.
Yeah, that was super cool. I love the way they were stylized.
Yeah. Matt, I don't know if we got your like general feelings on this.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody that hasn't got around to finishing the show, that only watched the half, I feel like you could absolutely watch this special without it was one of those concerns that I definitely had, that I didn't admittedly didn't take any efforts to sort of rectify. Was I did want to rewatch through Adventure Time and finally get around to watching the other half of the show that I had never gotten to watching before the specials came out, because I felt like clearly they're going to develop on some stuff that happens later in the show and all that. But I feel like so far for Distant Lands, I mean 3 out of 4, so you really only need sort of knowledge of the characters, not so much the big plot points or anything else, because it does a really good job of sort of like filling in the holes where that might be considered a problem.
Yeah,
I mean, at least to me.
I kind of disagree with that, because I feel like you do need to know the characters for this, because it is either filling in backstory for them, or it is like really paying off some character development.
Well, I more what I mean is it was perfectly fine for the point that I dropped off the show.
Yeah, like I dropped off at like season 5, and I still the point of this special and the real like emotional, I guess, weight of it all really comes down to Finn and Jake. And honestly, just speaking as an old school fan, it felt really, really nice just seeing Finn and Jake go on one last adventure. When they communicate with Peppermint Butler through the from the dead, and they manage to like get this because this is how they meet Lady Death in the Sea Kingdom.
They
Yeah, I
light a
don't know.
candle and possess some fish.
Yeah, it felt like there were a lot of moments that felt like old school Adventure Time. And
Like they possess the fish, and they're just like, huh, guess we're fish now.
Or mermaids.
Yeah.
yeah, they're just mermaids for a bit.
And Jake is like, he has to shift it to like a sexy mermaid.
Body positivity, man.
That's what it was. Yeah, it definitely had a lot of. It did a really good job of sort of touching on all the same. I think I said this already. It did a really good job of touching on all the same sort of notes that Adventure Time was able to hit throughout its run, or at least from the run that I was able to watch.
Definitely.
It did a really good job of sort of juggling the humor and the heavy emotional stuff very well. And as a cap off, as presumably the main cap off of the series, because we still don't know what the last Distant Land special is really going to be. I mean, the special was amazing. I loved it. It was really good, and it honestly, watching it really did make me want to go back through the show. I know I said that with Obsidian, but this one especially just drove it home, because to see the way that it's concluded now, I definitely want to relive just what I remember of the show, and finally get around to seeing what I missed.
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling that this is what would make people want to get real nostalgic for Adventure Time, because I don't know, I didn't remember really caring for the BMO one. I thought it was fine, but ultimately unnecessary. And the Marceline and Bubblegum one, that was a cute adventure, and it was a nice to see more growth for their character. But to see the definitive end for these characters, and okay, this is actually the end now. These characters are dead, and now they're being reincarnated as something completely different. It definitely tugs at the nostalgia strings.
But the thing that I always think about is that, because in When We Meet Life, she finds those two souls, and it's like, oh, you two are a package deal. And so in my mind, it's Finn and Jake may be gone, but they'll be reincarnated as something else. Just like as the song says, the fun never ends. It's adventure time.
Yeah. So I did want to ask, because as I said, I did not watch Come Along With Me, but I was aware of how the very, very, very end of it is when they show those two characters that have taken up residence in the treehouse. Mm-hmm. And I was honestly very surprised that they didn't hard confirm that those were the creatures that Finn and Jake reincarnated into. I was thinking oh, that's obviously what they're going for here, but they end it and they just go there. It's flash of light, and then the credits roll. I was like, oh shit, okay, I guess they're just leaving it vague enough.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I took it as well. Is just that those two creatures are probably supposed to be what Finn and Jake are reincarnated as at the end of this, but I guess that would kind of wrap that up and kind of recontextualize the show's ending, if that is what they were going for.
And that's why part of me thinks that we're going to see those two characters from the end of Come Along With Me in the last special. I'm going to throw that out there and just make a prediction that will happen.
I can see that.
I personally think that leaving it up to that kind of speculation and theory is probably for the best. I think it's better to because honestly, I like the idea that it doesn't need to be Finn and Jake, because everyone will go on an Adventure Time. The adventure never ends is kind of the whole kind of point of Adventure Time. And I like to think that those two characters are just completely unrelated, and Finn and Jake go and be reincarnated into who or whatever else in the future.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there, but I mean, Adventure Time did really because when Adventure Time started, it had a lot of I guess world building is not the exact term I'm looking for, because they had established how the world was, and it was a mystery for a long time, and then throughout the show the mystery sort of left because they explained everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's what they might end up doing with the last part of the special. I feel like this, like with this being like a great, final end to Adventure Time, I feel like the fourth special is gonna kind of like make it go out with a whimper in some.
I really hope not. But
I really hope not.
Probably will.
And I honestly feel like that is an expectation that we're gonna really have to temper going into whatever the last one is going to be, because
it's going to be hard to live up to this one.
No, yeah, like this should have been the fourth one. I understand why it's not. So I can see really just taking the last one as like, okay, this is like some kind of like epilogue. It's not like another another finale. Yeah,
but the other three specials are supposed to be like, well, okay, not BMO, but Obsidian and this one are supposed to be like epilogues. So it's going to be an epilogue to the epilogues, maybe.
I mean, yeah.
Like I said, we don't know. It's like,
so I kind of take it in a different context where I like BMO is very much a prequel set way before the events of the show.
So sorry, because you brought it up. Part of me hopes that the last special rounds back to BMO, because there's stuff in there that they introduced that, as far as I can have heard, is not explored throughout the show proper. And so I feel like revisiting some of those characters, if it is set off far enough in the future, like I think it's going to be, and to see like those characters or that, that species and that race and sort of like what all that was happening, revisited like far off in the future to see how that all evolved would be a good use of the special.
Yeah, that's true. See that.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all predictions. Just gonna throw them all out there and see which ones stick.
Right?
That's the best thing you could ask for in a show like this. Just see what sticks.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so so I guess do you guys want to like talk more about like the ending of this then? Or is there?
I don't know what else there is to really say about the ending, to be
honest.
Well,
I guess just like kind of talking about like it just like how the Lich is finally defeated, because like he was like a fucking hand that was like living on New Death. I like that. I love the whole joke that because they like Finn and Jake go to see Life, and they're like, your son is gonna like end the reincarnation cycle, and she gets all pissed off about it because that's like her whole job.
Yeah.
So they give them a stick that is a piece of life, and it's supposed to be able to defeat them. And I love the entire reason they couldn't kill him is because they had the stick upside down.
Yeah, I again, that felt like a very classic Adventure Time shenanigans type of moment.
And then I just love that like it pays off a joke from like the beginning of the thing where like Mr. Fox is like a low level just intro man, and he's working his way up so he can get a hypoallergenic pillow.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then when he accidentally becomes Death, he like really like takes it in stride and like changes the last Death's giant scythe into a pillow, and then just gives everyone in the Dead Worlds a pillow.
Yeah,
I love that.
He'll be a benevolent Death.
Pillows for all.
Pillows for everybody. You know what? If I die and go to the Dead World, as long as I get a nice pillow, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll make it. Yeah, like it's just overall, I feel like this is like I said, it's a very bittersweet story, but I feel like it ends on a very, very wholesome, very kind of nice ending. I like that, Finn finally comes to terms with like, okay, you know what, he like comes to terms with like Jake was dead and he's gonna go Finn is gonna go reincarnate and live the life that, you know, he kind of let pass him by because he was always waiting to see Jake again. And I like how Jake can just very in character, he says, "Ah, screw it" at the very end. Instead of going back to Nirvana, he goes reincarnated with Finn. So
what a bro.
That's true bro right there.
God, I like actually not just teared up. I full on cried when that happened.
It was just a very sweet thing where, you know, these characters, you've grown to love them as partners, as brothers, and just to see that, like, okay, they are actually going to go do what they originally set out to do and be reincarnated together to be forever bros. That's really nice, and I do kind of like that it is ambiguous because, like Aiden said, like, you know, there's always going to be more adventures, so it's like it doesn't really matter what they reincarnate into, just the fact that they are going to just continue to go on adventures. That's just what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sweet thing. Yeah. Well, do you guys have any closing thoughts on this?
Man, I don't know. I think I said everything I could say about this. This definitely, for a show I dropped and haven't really thought too much about outside of recently I've been rewatching it from the beginning. Like, I would say this definitely was a better conclusion than I feel like the actual final episode might end up being. And I feel a little bad saying that because I haven't seen the final episode, so I don't really feel like I should be saying that, but I don't know. This feels like the conclusion to Adventure Time that I would have wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have one last question to pose.
Sure.
Did Choose Goose really deserve to be in the lowest level of hell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
I hate Choose Goose so goddamn much. He deserves worse, to be honest.
He deserves the negative layer of Dead World.
Yeah, bury him deeper than the mud pit that the low people get.
Jeez.
He deserves it. Fucking Tree Trunks' creepy stalker man. He also deserves to be there.
I love how at the end, when everybody else is going up,
He's the only one that doesn't leave.
He's the only one that doesn't leave. He's the only one that deserves to be stuck in the bottom.
Because he's a dickhole.
I love it.
Good shit. All right then. Well, guys, I think that does it for this week. Yeah, Adventure Time. It's good to see a really good send off. Even if we are getting one more.
One more left.
And one more left.
I'm still calling this the send off.
Like I count this as the canonical last. This is the actual finale of Adventure Time. Everything else is just even if it takes place after this somehow. I don't know how you would really contextualize that, but
Yeah.
This is the end, and I'm okay with that.
And it was very good.
Yes. Please let us know what you thought about this in the comments on our various social medias. Love to know what you thought about this. How you thought about how Adventure Time, where it went, how it's, the story is over, and all that good stuff. But that does it for us. Everybody stay safe, and we will catch you again next time.
Yeah.
Later.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Paint Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.